Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Manha, Thansha, Binth, Sharief. I would like to say a few words about Battle of Badr, the first decisive battle of Islam, and it is a battle that all of us are familiar with, and it is a battle of Badr which took place the very first Ramadan after the Hijrah, the very first month of Ramadan after the Hijrah, and this is the second Hijrah to AH on the 17th of Ramadan in the second year of Hijrah. We all know the story that a small group of Muslims, barely 300 in numbers, were expecting a caravan to pass by. So they were not prepared, they weren't wearing armor. This was a raid on a caravan. It was not an army expedition. Raids and expeditions are two different things, and the Muslims were prepared to come and take the caravan of Abu Sufyan and then bring it back to Medina. And caravans are not guarded. Caravans do not have armies. Caravans do not have horses. Caravans do not have armors and weaponry. We all know the story. Abu Sufyan heard what happened. He changed his route. He sent for an army from Mecca. So 1,000 soldiers from the Quraysh marched forward. 1,000 armed men with hundreds of camels, hundreds of horses with military equipment, thousands, hundreds of suits of armor, and the Muslims were now wondering what to do. Should we proceed? Should we go back? And the Prophet ﷺ gave that passionate speech that we all know, and the Sahaba were all riled up. And Sa'd bin Mu'adh said, Ya Rasulullah, go forth, for by Allah, even if you take us into the ocean, we will go behind you. And this, the Battle of Badr, the decisive victory that Allah calls Yawm al-Furqan, the day the truth won over falsehood. It took place on the 17th of Ramadan. On this day, the icons of Kufr, one after the other, Uthman ibn Rabi, Ashayba ibn Rabi, Walid ibn Utbah, Abu Jahl passed away right after this as well. Abu Lahab passed away in Makkah. Umayyah ibn Khalaf. All of this, every single major icon of Kufr was either killed or died right after the Battle of Badr. And the Muslims barely had a score. Barely 2 or 3 people died, and the Quraysh had 73 prisoners of war taken to Medina. This day of Furqan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the believers that on this day Allah has promised, you would be the victories over one of the two groups, either the caravan or the army. And you wanted the caravans because that you was easier for you, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had wanted something greater than that. Yuhibballahu hakka bi kalimati, so that the truth can be magnificent over falsehood. This day of Ramadan, 17th of Ramadan, was the first victory for the Muslims, and not coincidentally it occurred smack in the middle of the month. And the lesson we learn from that victory in this Ramadan is that we might not be fully prepared for that month. How many of us now are preparating, wondering, how am I gonna fast? But just like the Muslims were not prepared for the Badr, but when Badr came, they stood up for the challenge. When Badr occurred, they put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them that victory. Even if we feel unprepared for Ramadan, and many of us are spiritually and perhaps even physically unprepared right now, we should put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah azza wa jal will cause us to be victorious in the month. Wahir dawana, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair.